Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe, a statesman. Now, Ordinano, Ato, a OSP, any affairs, no lawyer Martin Kpebu, or Monsema, a trouble, was social media. Yeah, Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe, a treasure, a dear OSP, a the year Martin Kpebu, no, a abuse of power, a sign intimidation, and it's an umbra one thing. Now, on my part, a lawyer Martin Kpebu, a chow. Now, or no. Who said the office of the special prosecutor no yempe obi a owo Ghana hodo a opese oye adwuma na yensesa the office of the special prosecutor we ensema Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe Sunday another information eka ho mepese obeka me ho na yakoti nsem no enjemu na Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe no Professor Aaron Michael Quay the former speaker of parliament and so na no abetum ya wetrese the office of the special prosecutor are outliving usefulness. Anything, yes, scrappy office na cry in free home. Now we shouldn't have anything like the special prosecutor and answer BBSA. Yes, scrappy office no a cry in free home. Now I think so. Also, who say near OSP intimidation and now say abuse of power. And some way and some who do be na this statement, the details of Amonsema or Makaya, so and send me. You definitely have a comment. Now the word entry about comment section. I know I'm a home at it. A daily update.
I said to me, it is alarming and deeply troubling that the office of the special prosecutor has seen fit to detain a Ghanaian and a legal practitioner who voluntarily presented himself in response to an official invitation. This act, far from upholding the law, I believe, marks of intimidation and abuse of power. And also, I believe strongly our institutions are established to protect justice and fight corruption. And they must never become instruments for silencing critics or trying to stifle dissent. Another point also I think worth to mention is that detaining a citizen for exercising the right to question and hold public officials accountable is a direct affront to the principles of democracy, which has taken us a long time to come. And to me, such actions erode public trust, chill free speech, and send dangerous message that the liberty of every Ghanaian is conditional upon the goodwill of those in power. I condemn this act.
I see, but Tommy, not to interrupt you though, but you had the special prosecutor, in fact, Sameda Akon, who put a statement of a post on his social media, which we're going to put on the screen in a bit, saying that they were just doing their job. You know, they really didn't see anything wrong, at least based on what Sameda Akon posted earlier today about all what happened yesterday. Toby,
I've explained earlier on that they definitely haven't got the power to behave the way they behave, especially when they invited that individual. So if they tell us that they are just doing their job, that will be very unfortunate. They should know that what they did was wrong. And what Professor Michael Quay said is exactly what I think they should have done. They should rather apologize to that individual, Mr. Kpebu, because they want to use intimidation and fear to do their job, and that will not work.
I see. You expect or you want the Office of the Special Prosecutor to apologize to lawyer Martin Kpebu for what happened yesterday?
Absolutely. Absolutely, he has to. The SP himself, there have been a lot of... You see, one thing, I don't know what is happening to us as Ghanaians now. One thing that worries me a lot is that this very individual was appointed by Akufo-Addo. And before Akufo-Addo was Martin Amido. Before Ajabe was Martin Amido. And Martin Amido resigned from his position. And the sort of explanation he gave, to me, was very disturbing. That Akufo-Addo himself was a mother serpent. That is a serious word. Now, if such a person have left the scene, and I am going to appoint another person, I'll make sure I appoint somebody who will be fearless, knows his work, knows the law, and will definitely not be threatened by anybody or any institution. But he came in there and we see that he wasn't doing his job the way we all expected him to be. We all expected him to do. I remember very well how once he was attacked by this gentleman, Paul Adomotri. I'm talking about the SP, attacked by Paul Adomotri. I remember vividly. For him trying to exercise a little power which Paul Adomotri thought he shouldn't have. You follow me? So, right, for some time now, there have been that sort of suspicion that he's not doing his work. How he sat down unconcerned and operator got out. So another thing. So these are the issues that we have to look at carefully and make sure we address them.
I see. Now, there's been suggestions, and in fact, this is a matter that was topical in Parliament earlier today. I know you did see what I played earlier with the members of Parliament expressing their views on the office of the Special Prosecutor, the establishment of that office. You heard what the Speaker has said and what the former Speaker who presided over this entire process of passing a bill into an act and establishing this office. And eventually, over the last, since 2017 till date, we've seen the office in operation over the period. From where you sit, would you recommend the strengthening of the office or the scrapping of the office, as some have recommended or suggested?
Look, if that particular office was created to fight corruption, then they should make sure that people who really are interested and even emotional attached to fighting corruption are put there. Not people who will come there and rather worsen the situation. That's the answer I will give to that.
Togbe, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. Togbe, Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe, thank you. Appreciate you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. As a statesman, the person, I'm talking about the Speaker of Parliament at the time when Parliament had to consider this particular office, the establishment of this office, and have an act in place for the establishment of the Special Prosecutor's Office as another arm of the fight against corruption. Professor Aaron Michael Quay says, for the benefit of hindsight, he's looked back and over the last 8 years or so that this office has been in operation since 2017. He thinks that, the office has outlived its usefulness. It must go. And here's why he's of that view. Take a look.
Looking at what is happening and the flagrant abuse of human rights, and also the fact that I would prefer that existing institutions are strengthened rather than having multiplicity of them with all manner of problems for us. Go and look for the man in this particular office. No, he's not with us now. He's with another organization and so forth. What is this? And I'm saying that we have had strong prosecutors before. If you ask lawyers who are old enough, they will tell you about men like Jekidako. Therefore, if you look at the benefit of hindsight, we better go and do Sankofa and strengthen the office of the DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, and then do things straight and right and according to the true tenets of the law. I believe because they have got pride of ancestry, they have got a tradition, they have got the best practices, and the be maintained. They must be retooled. They must be strengthened as an office to help do justice in this country. Rather than we put an office up today, tomorrow we change the name, another time we set up another one, and sometimes we don't even know which organization should investigate that. And sometimes there's a clash with regard to jurisdiction and powers. It appears everyone now wants to show how far it can also stretch its powers. We have to rationalize things and strengthen our institutions. With the problems that are happening, with this abuse of jurisdiction and so on and so forth, and people don't even want to go by their limits to investigate matters of corruption. Then it's Kpebu to be investigated for matters of corruption. Is he a public officer? When was he in an action that was a matter of corruption? These are very, very important things. And what pains me, not because it is Kpebu, but because it is a Ghanaian, is that some people want to show power. Some people want to let somebody taste something small, to show somebody where some power lies. These draconian tactics, we don't deserve it. Not in a country that seeks excellence like Ghana. I don't want to talk about individuals. I like systemic arguments about system. Whether it's the occupant or the office per se, I think this matter requires very serious examination. I say it is past 10. I've been sitting also watching a Ghanaian who is well known for his public critique activities, which of course we also need in this country, whether you agree with his views or not. It's now in custody. They say they are now going to give him bail and so on and so forth. His wife should be at home with his wife by this time. And it is a matter of principle.
That's Professor Aaron Michael Quay, the former Speaker of Parliament, with his view on this. And in this, yesterday I spoke to him exclusively here on Ghana Tonight, and when all of this was playing out, and this statement from him has also stoked that conversation. Well, in fact, it was a reference point for some of the opinions and submissions by some members of Parliament earlier today on the floor of Parliament. But it's one that we'll keep an eye on and see how things play out. But this is Ghana Tonight. Let's shift focus a bit. And that question that I posed to talk with Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe is one that we also posted on our social media handles to gauge the pulse of you, the Ghanaian people, about this entire conversation of whether to scrap the OSP, that's the Office of the Special Prosecutor, or to strengthen the office. Some of you talk about in the process of strengthening, change who is the OSP and so on, as to how that would also improve on the operations of the office. It's another conversation that we're going to be having in the coming days. But this is it. On our X page, the TV3 Ghana on X, over the last 1 hour, we posted this around 9:02 p.m., just before we came on air. 6,400 of you have viewed this poll. 240 of you took part in. And the final results, we have the 39% of the respondents of this poll say, let the office be reformed. 61% of you say the office should be scrapped or abolished, as some members of Parliament have been talking about. This is on X. On Facebook, we had 38, but just take a look at this. On X, it's just about 39%. On Facebook, you round it up just around the same 39%, 38.8. And we had close to 13,000 of you viewing on Facebook. And 61.3% of the respondents say it should go. 39% say there should be some reforms in the office. Well,
in fact, this morning I heard you people talking about one of them, that is the OSP. And if you recall, during the deliberation on the OSP, a number of us stated on the floor of this house that there's no constitutional basis. But we wanted to signal to the world that we are going to fight corruption. At the end of the day, we have seen the results. And we cannot continue to allocate that huge sums to the same office when we are not getting the results. This is one of the agencies we should be looking at. It's getting almost the same amount like the Attorney General's Department. Please, let's face the bull by the horns and make sure that the right thing is done. And so I agree with the majority leader.
That's the Speaker of Parliament agreeing with some of the statements made. Well, but the office itself has been responding to these suggestions about the relevance of its existence in the scheme of the fight against corruption in this country. And in fact, going into the fabric of the establishment of the office itself constitutionally. But this is Sami Darko. He is a lawyer, but for the Office of Special Prosecutor, he is the Director of Research and Communications. He says, I have never seen any public institution threatened with abolition as frequently as the OSP. Every 2 minutes, it is the same refrain. If you step out of line, if you don't conform, if you touch our saints, we will scrap you, or we will petition for your removal. Even loss-making state entities enjoy more peace and stability than the OSP. And quite a number of people have been commenting on this particular issue involving Kpebu, and private legal practitioner and Vice President of Imani Africa, Kofi Bento, says, Dear OSP, you are not an octopus. Remember that your police powers to fight corruption do not include sundry arrests, and you cannot use unmarked military personnel. And you are duty-bound to be tolerant of citizens' comments. Respect your limits. That's a direct message to him. He continues, never lose sight of the key issues because of the noise and drama. Kpebu is being harassed because of what he has said. Speech, no matter how disagreeable or vulgar, is not a crime. Any administration that punishes citizens because of speech is acting unconstitutionally. Oliver Bakavomawo, himself a private legal practitioner as well, says Kpebu is the one who helped coordinate sureties for Wendell. And this is a case that Oliver's firm and Oliver himself has been providing legal assistance to a journalist who is being held for some publication that was made. Well, we understand today that the Attorney General has filed to discontinue this case. So this is a matter, the latest development in this regard. He says Kpebu cannot stand abuse of power. It's sad that he himself got arrested same night that the gentleman got released. The OSP is an essential component of our fight against corruption. How do we make the office more effective? That's the question that Oliver Bakavomawo is putting. How do we make the office more effective? This is as against those who are recommending that the office be scrapped. Okay. Now, from Martin Luther Kpebu, the Special Prosecutor's Office, and matters arising, and go to the issues of cost of living, inflation. It slipped under the radar, or because of the happenings yesterday, but inflation for November dropped further to 6.3%. But what does this actually mean for households, businesses, and the government, for that matter? And that's the conversation that we're going to also dive deep into today. And this is coming on the back of the announcement of utility tariffs, that's water and electricity, going to go up effective January 2026. Electricity is going to go up by some 9.86%. You're going to pay more. And water tariffs will go up by some almost 16%. This is way below what the ECG was asking for. If you remember, a couple of months ago, we had this conversation. ECG had reasons why they were asking for over 200% increase in tariffs. Ghana Water, same. In fact, ECG was about 220. Ghana Water was almost about 280% they were asking for. They said because of the impact of Galamsey and then an increasing cost of treating the water as well. And a number of treatment plants were shut down because of galamsey and so on. All of that fed into that projection of over 200% in the tariff increase that they were expecting. They didn't get it. They're getting just about 16%. Stanley Mante, we spoke to him 2 days ago. He's not happy about this, but this is what's going to happen. But for the consumers as well, you and I, we're going to see how this will impact on our pocket. We juxtapose this expected increase in the tariffs, water and electricity, against the continuous reduction in inflation rate, the decrease in inflation rate over the period. And this, we're talking about the continuous rise in the price of goods and services over a particular period. Usually it's for 1 year. We do a month-to-month inflation analysis. What we've seen consistently is a drop in the rate of inflation. And this does not mean that when you go to the market, you're going to have this sharp decrease in the price of goods and services. No, it just actually means that the rate of increase of these items on the market has slowed down. So it's not like those days that you go today, an item is 10 cedis, you go in 2 hours and it's 11 cedis now. I mean, that's not going to happen. The rate will be slower, okay? Or it has slowed. So that's the understanding that we've been putting out over the period. But then again, it must have a direct impact on your pocket, because in the end, the statistics must make sense. It's not so much about what the government statistician says, it's a lot more about how you feel. So this is it. We're going to put that on the screen right now and make sense of it. Joe Jackson is going to be joining us in a bit. We'll have a conversation on this trend that we are seeing and how that also reflects, especially on the cost of credit, because the Bank of Ghana for some time now pursue this inflation targeting, and as we see inflation trending down, it has also impacted on the monetary policy rate, which has been reduced, and the Ghana reference rate directly impacting on the interests that commercial banks or financial institutions charge on the loans that especially private sector and individuals will take. Now the banks are advertising, come and take money, come and take loans. Right? Joe Jackson is joining us right now. He is the CEO of Dalex Finance. He's a financial analyst. Joe Jackson, appreciate your time. Now we've seen monetary policy respond to what's happening right now on the fiscal side, but then again, private sector is watching closely. From where you sit, the banks still have some risks to deal with. Do you see the cost of credit trending downwards to correspond with the same trend we are seeing on inflation?